Welcome to Girls Who Talk Goals. I'm Kristy.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Emilie.
We are creating an empowering community where we inspire each other to step out of our comfort zones
and fill each other's cups one conversation at a time.
We're all just trying to figure out life, so let's go on this journey together.
Let's jump into today's episode. Welcome back, everybody. Today's mantra is challenge accepted. I read a quote recently that said, "The challenge itself is what makes you the person capable of overcoming the challenge. The less you voluntarily challenge yourself, the less you grow." And for me personally, I had to read it twice because I couldn't fully understand it the first time. So I'm going to read it again. The challenge itself is what makes you the person capable of overcoming the challenge. The less you voluntarily challenge yourself, the less you grow. And this really resonated with me because I have done a lot of inner work to release myself from limiting beliefs I once had and to challenge myself in order to reach my highest potential. And I know we talk about that a lot.
Yes, I love that. And that definitely resonates with me. What are some of those challenges that you've had to overcome?
I'd say my first big challenge that I took was solo traveling. And I don't know about anybody else. Some days you have really adventurous days and some days you just want to crawl back into your shell. Mm-hmm. And so I booked that trip on a day where I was being really adventurous. And then leading up to it, I'm like, wait, what did I do?
There is no truer fact than that. Like signing yourself up for something.
Yes.
And you're like, yes, I'm ready. Then the day comes and you're like, oh, do I still have to go and do this?
Isn't that so true?
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so I'm like, I did it just on a good day. And luckily, the day I was leaving was also a good day because that was really scary. And so I was having a good day that day. I can't imagine having a bad day and being like, I don't know about this, or just so nervous anyway. I don't know if I could have done it, but I'm glad I did. It was all meant to be for a reason. And when I did go, we did a lot of inner work and journaling and meditating every day, which I had never fully done before. And when you immerse yourself in a new, not life, I was only there for a week, but when you immerse yourself into a new routine, it really sticks with you and it really resonates with you. And so that was huge, just leaving and going somewhere else for a week, but let alone doing all the inner work along with that was huge. And that was a real challenge for me.
So that was like a retreat that you went on?
Yes.
Okay. And where was it at again?
It was in Mykonos, Greece.
Okay.
And so it was amazing. Mindspo retreats. And I think I've shared a little bit on our social media. If not, it's definitely on my personal page.
Do you still like do all the things that you learned there? Or like what was some of the biggest takeaways?
I don't meditate every day. I wish I could say I did. And I'd love to get to that point, but it's so difficult. And people think like, oh, meditating, just silence. Like your mind goes through so many things. It is so challenging to sit there and to think of nothing. You have to usually think about your breathing or focus in. You can do like a wellness scan, essentially. Like, okay, I'm breathing. I'm thinking about all the different parts of my body and going all the way up from your toes to your head. And like, there's just so many different ways. That might sound weird if you're listening to this, but there's so many ways to meditate, or people think they're doing it wrong because they think of some other thought. And it's like, no, that's what happens. You have tons of thoughts that come into your mind like every second, but coming back to your breath or different things like that. I really wish I had a better routine with it, and I'm working on it, but that would be a lie to say I did it every day. But there's also scripting, and I do enjoy to script. I don't do it every day, but every once in a while I'll journal or I'll script. And scripting is essentially writing something as if it already happened, a form of manifestation. And it's a very powerful tool. And also, when we were at the retreat, we did a burning ceremony. And so we wrote down our limiting beliefs of, everybody had their individual ones. And we wrote them down on a piece of paper. We went in a group and in a line, everybody would say it out loud. And then they would physically go burn it. Because the physical, it's something tangible that you're doing. Like you can do all the wellness things and you might have good intentions or good thoughts, but to actually put pen to paper and then watch it burn, it's like a physical thing happening in your mind as well.
And to say those limiting beliefs out loud in
Yes.
front of people that you don't know in a whole new environment.
Yes.
I feel like that could be very powerful and very scary, but also makes it so much more real. And then, like you said, so much more tangible because you're actually burning it.
Mm-hmm.
So that must have been very powerful.
Yeah, it was very powerful. And also, with that, saying it in front of everybody, that leads me to my other one, which is fear of public speaking. Because I don't know do either of you have a fear of public speaking?
Of course.
Okay. So.
I've like to think that I'm not, but then I'll get up there and I can't form an accurate sentence. So
My mind goes blank.
yeah,
same.
And every time I'll be like in class, like I've always had it. So in class, you're like, oh, you're gonna read this line or something. So I'll count the number of people in front of me, and I'll read that line, and I'll be like, I don't even know what they're saying. I'm just thinking of myself, which is also, I think, another valuable lesson because everybody else is focused on themselves. So maybe worry less about what you're doing
right.
and the judgment and fear of other people of
Mhm.
judging you because they're worried about what they're doing.
They're not even gonna remember.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So that's interesting. But more recent, so the retreat was like 3 years ago maybe. And more recently, I did a public speaking speaker school class. It was like I don't know if it was fully a week, maybe 3 days or something. And I went someplace and it was a small group of people. And every day we did just presentations and learned powerful tools to how to conduct a sentence, how to engage an audience. It's all about the emotion. It's all about the story behind it. And so you think of amazing speakers and it's like, oh, wow, they had a great presentation, but did it resonate with you? Because you can be a great speaker and it not resonate with anybody in the audience. But if they have a story, if it's engaging, and if they're forming some kind of emotion in you, no matter if it's anger or sadness or anything, if they're forming that, then that was really powerful. So anyway, we learned all these different techniques. And we did some practicing of getting up there and they'd videotape you, which is so scary.
Oh, no.
And then they'd give you feedback and it still scares me. Oh my God. I am terrified still of it. It helped me know a little bit more of how to give a good presentation, but that does not mean I actually give a good presentation.
You didn't
magically
your fear didn't magically just disappear.
I think it helps if you are actively doing it all the time and being consistent with practicing it.
Right.
You got to start somewhere. I still have that fear, so that's not going
But
anywhere
you're
yet.
challenging yourself at the end of the day to like overcome it little by little and get better at it. And sometimes it's a slow journey and that's okay.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
I signed up for that on a good day too. And I was scared going there.
That's how it always goes.
But she still did it.
I still did it. Yeah. And so those were two huge things for me that really impacted me, or I challenged myself by doing something big like that. And that doesn't mean it has to be always a big move like that. You can do things day to day that challenge yourselves.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And everyday challenges look different every single day. Like today,
Mhm.
I am pretty good about keeping myself accountable with doing some sort of movement and exercise. But today, it was like pulling teeth to get myself outside just to go for a 10-minute walk. It was nothing.
Me
I mean,
too.
that's 10 minutes, but it was such a challenge for me. And most days it's not. But today it was a challenge.
I completely understand that.
But that leads me to my challenges. One way that I've really challenged myself in the last year was getting outside my comfort zone with fitness, because I've been lifting for years. I grew up competitively swimming, so I've always kind of dabbled in different areas of fitness. But about a year ago, I was like, I want to learn how to do something that I hate, which is running. Which
sounds so fun.
I think
I also hate running.
most people hate it. But I was like, I want to switch up my fitness routine in general, but also I want to get uncomfortable and I want to get good at something that I am not good at. So I took on running. And I didn't really hold myself that accountable in the beginning. I would just, run here and there. I was like trying to full out sprint. And so, of course, I would just be winded and I'd hurt myself and I could barely even make it a mile. And I was like, oh, you want to give up because you're like, this sucks. This is hard. But then I eventually just kept going and kept going and kept challenging myself. And every single run is such a challenge, but physically and mentally. But you feel so accomplished whenever you get done. And I'm just learning how to get uncomfortable. And so back in last month, actually, in March, I ran a half marathon with my best friend. My goal from the get-go was to run a marathon. Someone who could barely even run a mile. I was like, I'm going to run a marathon because that's just how I am. I want to set my goals super high. And so, yeah, that's what I'm working towards, and just challenging myself physically and mentally because it's a huge mental game.
I'd say it's 90% a mental game.
It really
you can
is.
Just stop anytime.
You can, because honestly, most of the time you're just bored and your mind is telling you like, no, you're tired. Why are you doing this? But really your body can keep going for much longer than you think.
Right.
And it was interesting too, whenever I ran the half marathon, there were so many like older people too, like people who you would look at and you're like, no, there's no way. But like you said, it's so mental, and it just shows that anybody can do it too.
It is. And I need to be more on that like wavelength of that, because last summer, Andrew and I signed up to run a 5K, which is like what, 3.1 miles. I was like, I'm going to train for this. I didn't train one day. I didn't run at all. Okay. And I got there and I told him, there is no way I'm going to be able to do this. And I ran the whole thing. And I got like first in my age category for women, which there wasn't that many people registered. So don't think I'm that great by any means, because I'm not. But that just like makes me think about that too. Yeah. I'm like, it is so mental. And I stop when it's just me, or like I make up excuses when it is just for myself. But like, I'm with all of these people. I'm not going to stop running. Like, I'm here for a purpose. And then you do it. It's like sometimes you have to throw yourself in those scenarios to make yourself do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. To challenge yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you have to set dates. Or for me, signing up for the half, I was like, oh shit, like I got to get going. Like I have to start actually training for this. And so that was part of challenging myself too, is I was like, I have a certain time limit now, and now I have to get going. So yeah, running is a huge way that I challenge myself physically and mentally. But the other huge thing in my life was going into real estate, because naturally I am introverted and don't want to go out and mingle and talk to people and talk to strangers, put myself out there. Oh, no. But getting into real estate, and it's still a challenge every single day, because you're always meeting new people. You're always putting yourself in new environments and uncomfortable situations, but I love it. And it's created a whole new personality for me, a whole nother side of me that I think is so vital, because you need to learn how to talk to people, and you should have those social skills. But if you're not forced to do it, you're not gonna go do it.
Yeah.
And with that, to expand on the putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, this summer I'm gonna go on my first solo trip, kind of like Natalie, and it is. If you would have asked me a couple of years ago if I would ever solo travel, like when Natalie was doing it,
I actually did ask you.
Yeah, I was like, no, why would I do that? Who are you going to talk to? That sounds horrible. But I've had a lot of growth over the last year, or 6 months in general, and I realized how much growth you can have through that. And I think it'll still be very challenging, especially your first solo trip. But I want to challenge myself, and I want to get out of my comfort zone. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
I admire that so much. And I think it's amazing. Genuinely amazing.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I do too. I love it. I think I truly think everybody should solo travel.
And it doesn't even have to be to like a whole other country.
No.
It can just be a weekend away, in a new city.
Build up too.
Yeah. Exactly. It doesn't have to be some big thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody should.
Honestly, and after hearing like you talk a little bit of how you just bought the ticket for the half marathon, having that date, just booking it. Like if you're having a good day and you're feeling the confidence and you're feeling on, go ahead and book it, because the next day you're most likely not going to feel that way. But having that already set, it puts your ass in gear a little
Mhm.
bit.
It
For sure.
does.
And I think that's huge. Making that step, just dive in when you're feeling it. And then you're going to have to do the work. But
It's going
like,
to challenge you.
yeah, it's going to challenge you, but it's already done. Because if you wait, then you're probably not going to do it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. You got to fully immerse yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Mm-hmm. Kristy, how have you challenged yourself?
Okay. I'm going to go a little deep with this. I would say like before I got married, I used to be super extroverted. Like I could do anything by myself and I had no problem doing it. And like, I don't know, I would just sign up for whatever. And then I got married and then I became like more introverted, which has taken me a while to recognize that. But now that I look back, I can like see it and I'm slowly coming out of that more.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get married and you're young, it is easy to rely on your other half for a lot of things. And sometimes you rely on them for too much. And in my case, I was doing that a lot. Um, so I don't know. He would be my shoulder to lean on, but I'd probably lean on a lot too hard. Since we've moved back and I've like started in real estate, I feel like that's pushed me back to my old self. And I'm still trying to get back to maybe who I was before that a little bit and like myself, but a different version of it who's better also.
I think that's huge.
Love that.
And I think that's something really relatable to other young wives or even moms
Mm-hmm.
of having kids and then having that be your identity
Right.
and then finding yourself again.
Yeah, because like I got married at 20 years old. You don't know who you are at that point. And then like you are making decisions for both of yourselves, which is okay. And I'm happy that I did that and I don't regret anything. But at the same token, now like I'm starting to learn like who I am too and who I want to be and where I want to go with him too. And that's okay. So that's been like I don't know, just a lot to think about the past year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
A huge way to challenge yourself is just to find yourself again, because I think that's what your 20s is all about, is finding yourself,
I do too.
who you want to be, where you want to go, what do you want to do.
Yeah.
And like you said, you have to challenge yourself now to get back to that of who
Right.
you were beforehand.
Right. It's honestly so deep to think about. Like,
So what are some of the ways that you are challenging yourself to get back to who you were?
well, I said real estate. Like that's really pushed me out because also I feel like, and I was going to say this when you were talking too, is like when you're going to meet new people consistently all the time, like you're stepping outside of your comfort zone in different ways too, because when you meet somebody, everybody also has like a different energy about themselves and a different way that they communicate, and you've got to kind of match that or even be better, you know, and give them more than what they need. So that's been a huge one. And then coaching volleyball also and being gone a bunch of weekends on travel tournaments has also pushed me out of my comfort zone. You've got like young kids relying on you for the right answers and to guide them through difficult situations, which happen a lot. So you're constantly having to think critically about like what they need or what did I need at that age to hear and how can I give them that?
I love
A lot of
that.
reflection
Yes,
that
exactly.
comes with that.
And you want to say it the right way because I want them to know that I believe 110% in all that they can be. I don't ever want to be their reason that they want to stop doing something.
That's really deep.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's a lot of responsibility too.
Yeah.
But that's amazing that you have that reflection and that awareness to where you can guide them in the right direction and put yourself in their shoes of when you were that age. And you're like, what did I need to hear?
Yeah. And with that, I feel like I challenge myself with maybe not always giving them the answer immediately, but like also talking to other coaches or other people about like, you know, what's your perspective on this situation? What do you think I should do? Because I don't know, I just want to give them the best answers, challenge them too, you know?
Be an inspiration
Yeah.
and be a light in their life, because there's so many people at such a young age, and any age, but especially when you're in school, teachers or mentors, they really dictate
And impact you.
and impact you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you never forget like the ones you don't like.
Right. Or the ones that inspired you.
Or the one, yes.
Or maybe who believed in you.
Yeah,
So
both.
so you giving your volleyball girls this advice, you might change their life.
Right.
Yeah, you never
You
know.
never
Yeah.
know.
And then this, what we're doing and what we're building is like the biggest step out of my comfort zone. And you guys are too. We're fully immersed and, ready for the challenge of putting ourselves out there.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's just what it is in a nutshell. Putting yourself out there. It's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one that we're working to overcome.
Yes.
Yes. Overcoming every day.
Yes.
So today, I challenge you to do something outside of your comfort zone, whatever that looks like, and to not let fear of judgment get in the way. Get rid of those limiting beliefs. I want you to envision writing those limiting beliefs on a piece of paper and watching it burning away the value it has over you. So hopefully you got some insight from today's episode, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
And we'll talk to you next time.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.